By the end of this unit, you should be able to define communication barriers, explain the different types of barriers, and also identify and reduce barriers in a communication act. We are interchanging the use of the word noise and barriers. There are what are called physical barriers, as we identified in our previous discussion. For example, when a source or the sender is not visible to the receiver, there might be barriers in communication because the receiver may not be able to read the facial expressions and other important aspects of interpersonal communication. So geographical distance here does create barriers because people may not communicate as effectively as they would like to due to the physical distances that separate them. There are also psychological barriers, and these are explained in terms of the individual differences, the attitudes, interests, and motivations of people, and these differ for everyone. People perceive things and situations differently. There are also others such as selective perception as a psychological activity where you choose what you want to hear. There's also selective recall and selective retention. There are also social cultural barriers where because of different social contexts and different cultural groups to which people belong, there are certain practices that may not be applicable in certain contexts. For example, if you move from Eastern Province here in Zambia to Western Province, there will be marked differences in greetings, for example, and how the young should relate to the old, and also the interactions between male and female. And then we have linguistic barriers, which are a result of maybe the use of words that the receivers don't understand, the use of faulty expressions, or even just poor translation of a message from one language to another. Even symbols and signs that are used may cause a linguistic barrier in the sense that the receiver may not understand what the sender is saying. And then we have what are called technical barriers, which are a result of the use of technology. For example, as this recording is going on, if the battery dies, that is a technical barrier. If I was on a call and suddenly I lose connection, that is a technical barrier. Other barriers are expanded or come from these major categories that we have identified, such as information overload, where the recipient receives more information than they can process. There is also what is called filtering, where the sender manipulates information so that it will be received in a certain way by the recipient. You also have selective perception, where the receiver in the communication process basically choose what they want to hear regardless of what the sender is saying. And usually this is based on the needs, motivations, the experience, and other characteristics of the receiver. And then we mentioned the aspect of how gender can be a barrier in communication. And there's a lot of research here that has been done on how men and women use talk for different reasons. This obviously feeds into the idea that if men and women are involved in a discussion, because of these different roles that we perform when we are talking, there is always the danger that there will be miscommunication. Emotions can cause someone to interpret a message in a particular way, especially when you are experiencing extreme emotions. Communication is likely to be ineffective in that case.